All right, here we are, 9 o'clock Wednesday night, and I am ready to roll. Waiting for my friends to join me, ready to get going for Food Addiction Firm and Fair. I hope you guys are having a good evening. Hi, Michelle. Glad that you're joining me. Here comes more of our friends. Welcome. Good evening. It is a good evening, actually, here in Atlanta. Gosh, it's almost 50 degrees, which is really, really nice. Even though I have this great big sweatshirt on, I am coming straight from yoga. Well, that's not exactly true, although it's sort of true. I drove straight from Augusta to Atlanta, thought I had plenty of time, and I got to this new yoga studio literally 2 minutes before the class started. So it was kind of a rush after driving in rush hour traffic, zooming into the yoga studio, having my yoga class, and then going over to see my daughter and her two baby girls tonight. So now I am home, freshly post-yoga'd for the third night in a row, which makes me really excited. I do love that yoga. And look, no bruises, didn't break any bones. I am all together tonight after my yoga class. Okay, so food addiction, fair and firm. Tonight we're going to continue off where we left last week. We were talking about control, controlling behavior, controlling thoughts, manipulation. It's all a part of our addictive behaviors. So I want to talk more about that tonight and kind of take it in a little bit of different direction, but still it's related to our healing process from addiction and our healing into having a better relationship with ourselves. Because remember, it's by having a better relationship with ourselves that we're going to have a better relationship with food. It was kind of interesting. A couple of days ago, I was on my way to work and I had the radio on to the local Augusta channel, and I heard on the radio something about the First Lady of Augusta having been treated or going through treatment for breast cancer. And I was thinking about how grateful that I am for my health and how grateful I think hopefully all of us are for whatever level of health that we have, because, almost always it could be worse. So then I got to thinking about how I've treated my body over the years, and I thought, first thing I need to do is apologize to my body for some of the ways I've treated it over the years. Many of you know that with my food addiction, I was starving my body physically. I didn't eat. I got down to 80 some pounds. My food addiction was more in the way of anorexia, but it was addiction nonetheless, meets the criteria. And I apologized to my body for starving it that way. I apologized for putting so much alcohol into it and so much codeine into it and not exercising it for a lot of years and just really despising it. Then I apologized to my body for picking on it, for its imperfections, for its, just the wrinkles in the neck. It's like, oh, so what? I'm getting older. That is a part of the deal. It's part of the deal. So I apologized for picking on my body, and then I thanked it for all the wonderful things that I can do with it. And I really encourage you to do that too. And it was funny because, not Dawn, hi Dawn, I talked to you today, that was good. Jennifer Nat, H-N-A-T, she is a licensed dietitian, and she's doing a 30-day mindfulness eating challenge. And she posted on there that was one of the very first things that they do in this mindfulness journey is thank their bodies for treating us so well when we don't treat our bodies so well. And I've started noticing that many of the yoga classes that I go to, at the end of the class, the instructor encourages us to thank our bodies. And I really want you to try to start thanking your body, because I know from talking to so many of you and working in this field and being a recovering addict myself, how harsh we can be on our bodies. So I want you to, right now, everybody, just stop for a few seconds here and thank your body for something. You can do it out loud, you can do it in your mind, but thank your body for one way that it serves you in this life. And try to make that a daily practice, because my goodness, where would we be? And it could be worse. So that's part of the deal, gratitude. Gratitude is a huge part of the healing process from addictions. So we're going to go back to our control and manipulation discussion, all right? Last week, I'm going to do a very short review of what we talked about last week in terms of controlling behavior as part of addiction. I talked about control as sort of being a manipulative kind of behavior. I want you to do something so that I get some of my needs met. I want you to, for example, let's say that I give my coworker a bunch of compliments about her time management skills, and I just don't know how she does it, and she just manages to get all these things done and uses her time so well. Now that may be true, and there may be a part of me that believes it, but let's say that my real motive is to ask her for a favor and take a little bit of my workload off of my desk. So it's manipulative, right? I kind of butter her up in an attempt to win her over so that I can ask her this favor, just kind of slide it in there and ask her to do a little bit of my work. It's a little bit manipulative, right? So my compliments may be sincere, they may be insincere, but I'm really giving her the compliments because I'm about to ask her a favor. Or, some people refer to this maybe as reverse psychology. I really don't know that term very well, even though I'm a psychologist. But let's say that I want to go on a shopping weekend with my girlfriends. So I'm thinking maybe my husband might be a little ticked off about that. I might be spending too much money, or he doesn't want me gone for the weekend, or whatever. This is not a real life me situation. But so I decide that I'm going to surprise him with a golf day with his buddies and just say, honey, go 2 days in a row. That would be great. Because I know in the back of my mind, I'm about to ask him or tell him that I'm going to be gone for a whole weekend shopping. So it's kind of manipulative, right? It's not straightforward. It's not direct. It's sideways. Sideways is a word that we use a lot in recovery language. It's like you're not being direct. You're being insincere, not necessarily always insincere, but you're coming in the back door because it's not on the up and up, maybe, right? So there's sideways behavior like that, and then there's sideways communication. That's for another day. But so those are manipulative kinds of things. We talked a lot about doing nice things for people in exchange for getting our need to be included or liked or valued met. And somebody asked a legitimate question. What if I'm just a really compassionate person, or I like to make people happy, or I like to give of my time? The question that I encourage you to ask yourself in terms of whether or not your behavior is being controlling or manipulative is, what's my motive? Now, there can be more than one motive, right? It can be true both that you do want to be included, you do want to be invited, you do want to be part of the gang, you do want to be valued, you want to be recognized for your contributions, and you like to give compliments, or you like to do nice things for other people. So it doesn't have to be one or the other, but in order to decide if you're being manipulative or controlling, What's your primary motive? Are you trying to get one of your own needs met, or are you trying to get somebody else to do something because you want something? That's manipulation. That's control. And I'm telling you, people who are addicted to whatever, whether it's food or alcohol or sex or gambling or shopping or hoarding or whatever it is, we have controlling and manipulative behaviors. You may have a very strong wall of denial up at this point in the journey, and I get that. I get that. Some people commented that they never do anything without, and don't. Never is a very suspicious word to a therapist, because it often, not always, but it often falls in the category of positive impression management. Meaning, I want to put forward I want to look good in the eyes of others. In part of the bariatric evaluations, we do this long questionnaire. The reinsurance companies require it. You could either do the MMPI, if that sounds familiar to you, or the personality assessment inventory. And this is interesting. In the general population, there's a very small percentage of people, like this is tested, this is all researched, right? If they give this instrument to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people out in the world, a very small percentage of those people will come back with a report that says they attempted to have positive impression management. In other words, they tried to look good in the eyes of whoever's interpreting or reading this thing. In my own experience, my bariatric people that I've done evaluations with, there's over 30% of those come back suggesting positive impression management, meaning people are either answering it in a way to, look good so they can have their surgery, or they're in denial about their own humanness. So, for example, one of the questions on there is, I've never done anything to break the law, or something like that. And if people put true, I've never done anything to break the law, that's a real red flag for me. Because most people, like almost all people, have done something to break the law. A lot of people read that question and they think I've never been in jail, or I've never been arrested, or whatever. But how many of us go over the speed limit by more than 10 miles an hour? Or how many of us have, picked up a grape in the grocery store and eaten it? Or how many of us have, not stopped fully at a stop sign? So the truth is, most of us have broken the law. The other truth is, most of us have had some controlling or manipulative behavior, not necessarily on a conscious level. But remember, the process of healing from addiction is peeling off layers of the onion. At first, we have a lot of denial, not only about whether or not we're addicts, but also about our behavior that is typical addict behavior, because we don't want to look at that about ourselves. But it's okay. Here's the motto of an addict. Now, does this fit for you? I want what I want when I want it. And the heck with anybody else. So if that fits for you in some way, shape, or form, you're probably an addict, right? And that I want what I want when I want it falls for food addicts something like this. Oh, it's really late and I would really like to have whatever. Honey, would you mind going out and getting it for me? That's kind of imposing on honey's time, or, oh, this one happens all the time. The spouse comes in with the spouse and one of them's having weight loss surgery, and we talk about who cooks and who does the grocery shopping and whatever. And the codependent spouse says, yeah, I do bring home things that he or she shouldn't have. Tell me about that. Tell me the reasons that you're doing that. Because they'll have a fit. They'll yell at me. They'll scream at me. That, my friends, falls into controlling manipulative behavior. I want what I want when I want it, and I'm going to punish the heck out of you until you go get me what I want. Right? All right. Here I go off on a little tangent. So I'm going to talk about control and manipulation in terms of getting our needs met. Because sometimes we learn these behaviors from other people. Sometimes we are ill-equipped, right? Sometimes we're ill-equipped with a better alternative. We haven't been taught healthy coping skills to meet life's demands. We haven't been taught healthy coping skills. We haven't been taught healthy ways to get our own needs met. So I'm just going to go over a few adult healthy needs because some of you might think, it's normal to need that. I'm an adult. Should I really still need that kind of thing? So let me talk about some of these, and I want you to give yourself permission as I go through this to recognize that you are an adult human being, and like every other adult human being on this planet, these needs are normal. There are healthy ways to get them met, and there are unhealthy ways to get them met. Oftentimes, when we're active in our addictions, we go for the unhealthy way to get these needs met. So part of the goal of healing or recovery from our addictions is learning positive ways to get these needs met. However, if you're not even aware of the need, how do you know about getting it met in a healthy way? So we're going to start with what the needs are. Every adult human being has a need to feel significant in some way to other people. We need to feel like we have some uniqueness, some individuality, and that there is something special about us. Not like we're terminally unique. If you don't know what I mean by terminally unique, I could say some names, but I won't because that would be rude and judgmental besides. So I'll refrain from doing that. But I will tell you that there have been times in my life where I have wanted to believe that I was terminally unique. And that want to believe that I was terminally unique came from a place of severe feelings of insignificance. So a terminally unique person thinks there's nobody like them in the whole world. And there is nobody like any of us in the whole world. It's like snowflakes, right? They're all kind of alike, but they're all different. It's the same for us. But there is no one snowflake that stands out so far and above and beyond all of the other snowflakes that none of the other snowflakes have any redeeming qualities, right? There is no one person among us that is that terminally unique. People might think Oprah. Oprah is amazing, right? Brene Brown, amazing. There are numbers and numbers of people. There are numbers of people in the sports world. There are a number of people in the bariatric world. There are a number of people in the psychology world. There are a number of people in all these different fields that are the cream of the crop, right? But even the cream of the crop are not the only ones with amazing qualities. Each of us has our own set of amazing qualities, and we each need to feel our significance to some other people. But if you think, I haven't met any of you that I would put into this category that are on this show, I promise you. I've probably met 3 or 4 people like this in my life, but they think they're terminally unique. They think they're that much more amazing than the rest of us lowly human beings. And that often stems from a place of deep insecurity. So significance is a very healthy, normal need. On either end of that, feeling like you're absolutely nothing or you're the best thing that ever happened to the world, are unhealthy places to be, all right? Next, normal, healthy need, a sense of love and connection. We need to feel acceptance. We need to belong to a group. We need to have support. We need to feel like we have friends. Normal, healthy need. We all need to feel like we contribute. We all need to feel like we contribute just to another person or a group of people, or that what we say in a particular meeting or a post that we make online might benefit some other human being in some positive way. Normal, healthy need, right? We all have a need for security. That's not a childish thing. We all have a need for attention. That's not a childish thing. Think about the people that go way out of their way to get attention, either by what they're wearing or the way they behave. You know, if you got to be the class clown, or if you got to be the center of attention at a party, or if you got to be in people's face 24/7, you know, on either end. If you're a wallflower, that's one end of the continuum. If you're, you know, the one that's got to be the center of attention all the time, that's the other end of the continuum. You want to be somewhere in the middle, recognizing that it's normal, healthy human to need attention, but you don't want to be never noticed, and you don't want to be the one being noticed all the time. And having a sense of autonomy and control. What this means, and I'm not using control in the same way we're using it for the purpose of this discussion, but autonomy and control means I have the ability to make choices in my life, and I have the ability to make responsible choices. So those are all healthy, normal needs. So if you don't know that, now you do, all right? It's what we do with those needs. And oftentimes, people who are addicts are unaware of their needs, and they haven't learned how to get those needs met in healthy ways. So rather than saying, I'm feeling lonely, I need some companionship. I'm feeling lonely, I need some attention. I'm feeling unimportant, I need some validation. We do some convoluted stuff, right? Remember Life as a Teen Slut? I didn't know how to say, will somebody acknowledge that I have some value in this world? So I crawled in bed with a lot of guys in my early 20s because I thought if they wanted me, they didn't care about me. Me didn't matter at all, right? A warm body mattered. And that was about the extent of it. Sad. It's sad, right? Other things we do, you know, get loud at a party and create a scene so people will see us. You know, that's not a healthy way to get our needs met. Or, you know, coming across like, oh, nobody cares about me, and what difference does it make if I speak my mind? You know, kind of being a victim or a martyr so that somebody will draw it out of you, right? It's like fishing for compliments. We need to learn that it's okay to have the needs, to recognize the need, and to ask in a healthy way to get that need met. Otherwise, we find these controlling and manipulative ways to do that. And like I said, it's oftentimes not until we are further along in a process of learning who we are that we're even able to recognize that we do these things. I wanted to talk about a little more compassionate way of looking at the idea of control rather than using the words manipulative, but still holding yourself accountable, right? So saying, you know what, I volunteered to lead this committee. Part of me felt the need to be included and to have a sense of connection. There was also a part of me that really wanted to help out with the event. So if I'm truly invested in this group, if I'm truly invested in helping out this group and I volunteer to do that, it's a win-win, right? I win because maybe I'll get some recognition. Maybe I'll give back to the community. Maybe I'll, make some friends and I'll be included. Win-win. If I'm not really invested in this organization or this committee, In fact, I hate the project, right? But I have this desperate need to be included. Or if I do these things and then I feel taken for granted and I do so much for other people and nobody does anything for me and I end up feeling, uh, used or taken for granted, that's not a healthy way. That would be an example of an unhealthy option to get your needs met because it's not sincere. It's not at all sincere. So, a question to ask yourself is, in any situation, and therapists ask this question a lot. For example, if you regain weight, for example, or if you stay in an unhealthy relationship, or if you stay in a job and you have other options. Sometimes people have to stay in a job because we got to do what we got to do, right? If I got to work at McDonald's to feed my family, then I'm going to work at McDonald's so I can feed my family. We do what we have to do, right? Nobody's above any job. I always tell people nobody gets to start at the top unless you're a ditch digger. I maybe have said that one last week even. All right, so what am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of doing things for other people when nobody does anything for me in return? What am I getting out of that? I'm going to say nothing. That's not true, right? A therapist is going to poke and prod and help you dig deeper so that you can come up with some new awarenesses about yourself. Well, I guess that I get to be included, or I guess that, I'm around people, and I guess that I'm not as lonely. So part of this healing from recovery and looking at the ways we manipulate or do things not in a fully straightforward manner, but having compassion for ourselves is to say, on the surface, it doesn't look like I'm getting anything out of it, but really, really I am. Then you can look at healthier options. So how could you be involved with people? How could you be included without feeling like a victim, without feeling like a martyr? Why do you need that martyr status to go along with it? It might be a learned behavior. It might be the only way you knew how to get attention. Or it might be a way to punish yourself, right? You need to be honest. And in recovery, they say you need to be rigorously honest. So you need to be more honest than honest, and you need to be willing to have your feelings hurt. You need to be willing to say, I'm embarrassed about this, but this is the truth. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get healthier. So I'm a control freak. It's how I am. It's just who I am. Do you think that's a personality trait? Some people just say, well, it's just who I am. It's just the way I am. I am of Irish descent. So I could just say, well, I got a hothead temper. It's just who I am. I'm just Irish. Is that an excuse? Am I using that as an excuse, or is that really a personality trait? Well, controlling behaviors, I want you to know, are not personality traits. They're not inborn. You either learn them or they're a coping skill. So I want you to think about, this is how you can have compassion. If you are a little bit of a control freak, I want you to understand that the reason you probably do that, the reason you probably are that way, is because you're coping. What are you coping with? I'm going to read you something. This is amazing. These things always happen, not always, but oftentimes happen. And I believe it's a spiritual thing where I'll be talking about something and then I'll read about it and then I can share it with you. So sometimes, one other thing I want to add in there. A lot of the coping skills that we learn as a kid, like to be whiny or to throw a temper tantrum because we get our way, or we deflect attention off of stress between mom and dad onto us, or whatever, they don't work in our adult lives. So a lot of the things we learned in our childhood as coping skills to get through whatever we were going through do not work as adults, but that's what we know. So we're ill-equipped. We need to learn new coping skills. But I've been reading a book by my buddy Gabor Mate, or my buddy Gabor Mate, the French Canadian physician. I want to read you what he says, and I'm going to wrap up with this. There is no innate inclination to be controlling. We're not born with that. We're not born to be a controlling human being. What there is in a controlling person is deep anxiety. Let me repeat that. If you're a controlling person, it's often a signal that there is deep anxiety. About what? Here's what he says. A child or an infant who perceives that their needs are not met. What needs? The need for safety, the need for inclusion, the need for protection, the need for love, the need for security. If you're a child that grows up in a chaotic environment or an unpredictable environment, then a child lives with fear. They live with fear and they are unable to control. Dad's drinking, mom's raging, mom and dad's fighting, siblings being abused. They're unable to control their surroundings, meaning they have a lot of internal anxiety, a lot of stress. So what they believe, what the child believes, is that if they can only control every aspect of their life and their environment, then, only then, will they feel confident that their needs are going to be met. So as the kid grows older, they're going to continue to dislike this absolute desperate response to early emotional deprivation. So if you were a child that experienced any kind of neglect, whether it was due to a parent having to work 3 jobs to feed you, which wasn't intentional to neglect you, it doesn't mean you weren't neglected. Or if there was a parent or a sibling who had a chronic illness and you were therefore neglected. It wasn't an intentional neglect, but maybe there was neglect anyway. If there was neglect, if there was abuse, whether it was done to you or another family member or between the parents, you lived with stress, you lived with chaos, you didn't have serenity and security and peace around you. You have this internal fear and anxiety, and how a child copes with that is by developing control, trying to attempt to control people and situations so that things will be okay and I'll be safe. That's where this starts. So, attempts to control are a coping skill. Love that. Thank you, Dr. Mate. What a huge piece this is for all of us. A huge piece in our healing from addiction. We've got to learn healthy coping skills. We've got to learn to get our needs met. And you can only learn to get your needs met by identifying what they are. So the 4 A's, you've got to become aware of what your needs are. And then with the help of other people, you've got to learn what are healthy ways to get these needs met. By doing that, you can give up the control of other people because you learn to ask directly to help get your needs met. You can ask directly, you can let go of some of the need to control, and as we gain control over our emotional health, we don't need to control food because we're going to be at peace with ourselves, we're going to treat ourselves better, and we were not going to have the need to control. So, wow. I hope you followed all of that. And if you didn't, guess what? The good news is all of these videos are archived on YouTube. Just search my name, Connie Stapleton. And better yet, there's going to be a 5-day retreat on this exact topic. Not just this topic, but I'm doing these 5-day retreats. One is going to be on food addiction, healing from food addiction. One is going to be on reversing regain, and one is going to be on Gain while you lose. Gain a lot of these insights, gain a lot of these coping skills, gain a lot of ways to deal with life on life's terms so that you don't need to control, you don't need to engage in your addiction, and you can let go of sugar, you can let go of flour, you can let go of the need to have false control over things. Give up control so you can gain control. Because when we give up the control, we don't have a need to control. So, not simple, right? Who thinks psychology is just common sense? It is not, right? I didn't go to school for 12 years to learn common sense. If only they could have taught me some of that while I was there. Would have been a great thing. Okay, guys, I'm over time. You're over time. You spent your time with me. You spent your time, right? It cost you time to be here, and I thank you for that. What you can do is share with other people. Please take this to your support groups. Please put this on your Facebook. Please put this on your social media. We have a lot of people out there that we can positively influence. I want to encourage you to about 3 things. One is we all need some garments to help us stay a little in check, right? Slimpressions is what you want to use. Check out Dawn Hurlebus and Slimpressions. You better be taking your vitamins, whether you've had bariatric surgery or not. And the only ones we want you using are Celebrate vitamins. So you call our BFF, Laura Preston, at Celebrate Vitamins, and she'll tell you what you need. The other thing is check out Jennifer, HNAT, and her 30-day mindfulness challenge. It's learning to be mindful of how you're eating. It's going to be good stuff. Sign up for the WSFA conference. Sign up for the Southeast VSG conference. Sign up for OH. We've got to support each other and work together. And if you have not read any of Yvonne's posts, then you need to check out Bariatric Girl. All right. I love you guys. I appreciate you sharing your time with me, and I appreciate you passing this on. Take care of yourself, your health, your responsibility, this day and every day. Be talking with you soon. Have a wonderful, make it a wonderful rest of the night. Talk soon. Good night.